Welcome back to this week's episode of On Fire to Inspire. I'm so excited to have y'all with me. I am Dr. Aleigha Tate, the Purpose Midwife. Thank y'all so much for joining me this beautiful evening. Y'all, I want to thank our sponsors, and then we're going to hop right in, so do me a favor. While I thank our sponsors, I need you to hit that share button because there's someone that needs to hear this. So I want to thank Mom Biz Boss, multiple operational managers. They are our long time sponsor. If you're a mom, multiple operational manager, you're an entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur, you want to connect with mombizboss.org. Again, that's mombizboss.org. Check them out and connect. Then we have the Bridge Services LLC, keeping you connected to your health care. Nobody else's, your health care, okay? Great evening as you're chiming in. Tag a friend, share. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then if you don't have any of my books, you can go to onfiretoinspire.com or you can go to my link tree, which I will be adding in the link. So as we get started, last week, y'all, we're going to kind of like do a recap. So last week was who gave you permission, right? So this last week we talked about who gave you permission. I talked about who gave you permission to stay stuck, who gave you permission, just so many things. Y'all got to go watch the replay on that one. Great evening, everybody. Thank y'all so much as you're chiming on in. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. So last week I challenged you to stop waiting for people to give you permission for what God has already placed on the inside of you, right? Stop waiting on permission when God has already given that to you. So we talked about that last week. Again, if you missed it, we're just going to do a quick little run through this evening. So then I realized something, y'all. Guess what I realized? Sometimes when we realize we don't need that permission and we're about ready to move, then guess what creeps in? Fear. You heard me right. Fear. Fear tries to creep in. Why? Because that's why we still don't move. We still don't move because fear decides it wants to rear its ugly head. And so we're still in that place of, well, I know I don't need permission, but yeah. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about what are you afraid of. Last week was who gave you the permission, but this week is what are you afraid of? All right, we're going to talk about it real deep. So I want y'all to do me a favor. If you are a scribe like myself, I want you to get your pen and paper. And I want you to write some things down because I'm going to be asking y'all some deep questions tonight. If you're not a scribe and you have your tablet, your phone, I want you to still take notes because there are some things that I need you to be honest with yourself. And you're going to ask yourself, what am I afraid of and why am I sitting when I know I need to be moving? Okay? All right. So what are you afraid of? And when you answer that question, I don't want you to give me nothing churchy, and I don't want you to give me anything that sounds good. I want you to give me the truth that's right here. All right, the truth of why are you afraid? What's still keeping you in that place of not moving, in that place of just there? Okay, so what are you really afraid of? Now you can start moving and thinking in those terms. Maybe you can't think right now, but I want you to be thinking of that. That's why I said get your pen ready, get whatever ready, because we're going to hop on in. Y'all ready? All right. Number one, fear of failure. That's your first fear. Fear of failure. And so many people don't pursue their purpose because they're afraid of, well, what if I fail? Guess what? What if you don't? What if you actually do it and it works? But you won't know until you try it, right? So that's why number one is fear of failure. So I got a couple of questions around that fear of failure. That was, like I told you, what if I tried and it don't work? What if people laugh? What will people think? Well, what if I put myself out there and nobody supports me? But what if you never try? And you don't want to live in, well, I shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Because shoulda, coulda, wouldas ain't getting nobody anywhere. What if Tabitha Brown never did that video of her eating that sandwich? I know when I interviewed her back in 2018, and she had just gotten contacted by, um, was it was it Publix? I forgot who contacted her. She was talking about their sandwich, their breakfast sandwich. No, it wasn't Publix. It was a what's that chain, y'all? That's around the food. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't think of it right now. But they contacted her. She didn't contact them. Why? Because she went out on a ledge and said, you know what, this thing's so good, I'm finna be me and I'm gonna not sugarcoat it. And y'all, she became their brand ambassador as a result of her saying, I'm not gonna let fear paralyze me any longer. Thank you, Whole Foods. Thank you, Tamina. I was like, I know it wasn't Publix that didn't feel right. Whole Foods, yes. Whole Foods contacted her. She didn't have to contact them. Y'all, she was talking about how good that sandwich was and how she was going to save the second half for later. But she was like, y'all, this ain't even going to make it home, okay? And so she stepped out of her comfort zone. And she did it. And it went viral and they contacted her. So what if you don't try? If she never did, would that have happened? No. So, number one was your fear of failure, all right? So, we're going to talk about what is failure. Is failure really failing? Is failure really failing? Or is failure refusing to try because you're afraid of falling? Wow. Did y'all hear that? I'm going to say it again for you. Is failure really failing, or is it refusing? Is it because you're refusing to try because you're afraid of falling? I know in everything, I don't like saying the word I failed at something. I look at it as a learning opportunity. Somebody asked me something on the show when I was interviewed, and I said, I don't really define failure as failure. I define something, it just didn't work. And so I use it as a learning opportunity to not do it like that, or maybe tweak it or whatever, but I use it as how are you looking at it? What perspective are you using? And my perspective is to say, okay, if it didn't work that time, maybe I need to go back to the drawing board and tweak some things. But failure is not falling, okay? Your assignment isn't always going to come with a guarantee. Your assignment ain't going to always come with a guarantee. Let's talk about Noah. So Noah was given the assignment to build an ark. And so, had he seen rain? No. Had he seen this ark? No. But he had to do he had to do that assignment that God had given him, even not understanding it. And so Noah had to build that ark before there was evidence of what God said was coming and what was actually going to happen. So he had to just faith the whole thing to do what God said. So had he seen it? No. Did he have the evidence? No. He just know that God said do it, and he moved in obedience to do so. So sometimes, y'all, you're not going to see the whole picture. You're just going to have something right here that says, I got to do it. It's got to be done. Are you waiting for evidence before you obey? No, I didn't have evidence, y'all, but he obeyed. What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? What would you attempt if you knew that you could not fail? That's something I want you to answer for yourself. You can answer it now. You can answer it later in your notebook or whatever. Remember, I told you tonight, you're taking notes because this is for you. All right? So number one, we talked about the fear of failure. Number two, y'all ready for this one? Because it's a big one. Fear of people. Y'all heard me right. Fear of people. This is another huge one, y'all. Fear of people. Some people fail, they're afraid of, well, what if they see me? And what would they think? And, well, what would they say? And who cares? But anyway, I digress. Let me get back to my notes. What will people think? That's one of the questions. What if they don't understand? What if they change? What if they think I've changed? Here's one thing, y'all. If God is giving you an assignment and it was just you and him, it wasn't a three-way, it wasn't a conference call. So they're not going to understand. They're, even if they halfway understood, they're not going to be bought into what God assigned to you. God assigned it to you. There's not going to be a completely, oh girl, do it. It's not. Oh my brother, do it. It's not. So, you cannot live your purpose while allowing everybody else's opinion to be your compass. I'm going to repeat that. You cannot live your purpose while allowing everybody else's opinion to be your compass. Everybody else's opinion can't be your compass. So you got to get free from the fear of people, free and delivered from people's opinions. If God placed it on the inside of you to do, y'all, guess what? He's giving you your permission last week. And so now you got to get past, well, what would they think? We don't care what they think. What did God say? Not about what they think. So number 1 was fear of failure. Number 2 is fear of people. Your identity isn't caught up in people. Your identity is in Christ. All right? And when you get that perspective of, who are you when nobody applauds you? That's when you know you're caught up in your identity in Him. When nobody else is applauding you, but you know you're doing what He's called you to do. Now that's when you know you've been delivered from people. And who are you when people don't understand? Everybody don't need an explanation when God has given you all that He's called you to do. Or at least getting you started on what He's calling you to do. And then also, who are you when the people closest to you don't recognize the version of you God is developing? Now that was another big question, y'all. Who are you when the people closest to you don't recognize the version of you when God is developing you? Because you're not that same person. You're doing things differently. You're saying things differently. You're thinking things differently. Who are you at that time? I'm going to take you to some scriptures, all right? So Galatians 1:10. The NIV version said, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I was still trying to please people, I could not be a servant of Christ. So, who are you trying to please? Human beings or God? I don't want to please human beings if it means I'm not pleasing God. I only want to make sure that He's being pleased. Because if He's being pleased, then they're going to be okay. All right. Next question. Whose approval? Y'all ready for this question? Y'all ain't ready for this question. Strap your seatbelt on for this one. Y'all ready? Whose approval are you addicted to? Whose approval are you addicted to? Are you addicted to God's approval for Him saying, you did what I called you to do? You're on the way. You're on the road to it. Or you're addicted to people's applause and that's why you're staying stuck and stagnant. I'm telling y'all, we were taking notes tonight because we're being real. Why? Because we got to move forth in the things that God is calling us to. 1, we were afraid of fear of failure. 2 was fear of people. Number 3, fear of the unknown. Yeah. That can be uncomfortable when you're out of your comfort zone. So fear of the unknown. This is where you're entering uncharted territory, right? You're talking about, okay, God, is this my calling? Is this, yeah. Calling often means stepping into something you've never done before. Y'all, a little over 12 years ago, December 9th, will be my 12th year anniversary of doing this on my own. But I started doing this, I think around the summertime under another network before I did my own. And so if you'd have told me 13 years ago that I'd be doing this, I'd have told you absolutely not. Why? Because it was something I'd never done. But when I tell you there's such a fulfillment in doing it, even when I'm nervous, y'all, and I still get nervous 12 years later. But there's something that leaps in me every time I do it, right? So it's not going to be something that you necessarily know what to do. But once you start doing it, like people would ask me about the show, and I start talking, and people are like, girl, you really light up when you're talking about that in your books and going to speak and going to MC. You just light up. That's something that I know God has called me to do. And so it just you unconsciously do. What are those things that give you that same feeling? What are those things that just warms your heart every time you do it? What are those things that you're like, oh, I love doing that. And if I could do it for free, but I want to make a living off of it, what is that? That's one of the things when I used to mentor. I used to ask the kids all the time, if I could do this for free and make an honest living out of it, what would that be? And then I started having to ask myself that same question. So I want you to ask yourself, what is it? What makes me feel like what I just described to you? Now, you don't know, in the unknown, you don't know how it's going to work. You don't. You don't know who's going to help. You don't know where the money's coming from. You don't know who will support you. And you don't know what the next step will be. But you do know that God is always with you. Right? And as you walk in obedience, he's going to be right there with you. Now, here's the problem. We want God to show us the entire staircase before we take the first step. But he wants us to have faith enough to take that first step. He wants us to see that, okay, I've lit up that first step for you. All I need you to do is take that step on that first step. All right? So all we have to do is take the first step. You only need enough faith for that one step. He's with you. I'll take you back to scripture. Y'all ready? Joshua 1:9 NIV. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Not if you go. He said wherever you go, he's with you. So be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid. God didn't tell Joshua, well, I'll explain everything first and then you go. He didn't tell him that. There's a big difference. He said, I'll be with you. Right? He said, I'll be with you when you go. So that was number 3, fear of the unknown, because we do that. All right, so number 3 was fear of the unknown. Number 4, fear of becoming who you're called to be. I want y'all to sit that right there. Let that sink in. She said, fear of becoming who you're called to be. That's what I said. Fear of becoming who you're called to be. Because guess what, y'all? Sometimes people are fearful of becoming successful. People are afraid of success because they don't know what that looks like. We're afraid of success? What? What are you saying, Aleigha? We're afraid of what happens when we actually become the person we've been praying to become, because purpose requires change. We can't go in with that same mindset from yesterday or last year when God is shifting us into the new, into this new. We can't take in old mindsets. We can't take in old ways. Why? Because he's bringing us into newness. The newness is coming with new thinking, new mindset, new ways of doing things. Because what worked back then isn't working now as he's brought you into this. So you can't become that next version of yourself and keep living according to the expectations of the old version of you. Y'all need me to repeat that? I thought you would. You can't become the next version of yourself and keep living according to the expectations of the old version of you. That old version, right? So we talked about your identity and your calling and your assignment. And now it's time to take action. So now I have another question for y'all. Y'all ready for this question? Glad you're ready. Who would you have to become to walk fully in what God has called you to do? Who would you? Y'all talk about you. Who would you have to become to walk fully in what God has called you to do? Next question. Are you afraid of losing the version of yourself that everyone else is comfortable with? Are you afraid that if you walk in that call, whatever that looks like, that everybody else wouldn't know me in that version? But God is calling you to be that person. Are you afraid of coming out of the old you to walk in the newness that God is calling you to? I'm telling y'all, whew, fear of becoming who you're called to be. All right. Now, this is called a 3-minute audit. So this is where your pencil and paper come in. All right. Or if you're a note taker on your tablet, your phone, whatever. Here we go. I got 4 questions for you to ask yourself. All right. I'm going to give you a few little minutes, but otherwise you can answer them offline because I'm not going to keep y'all long. Y'all know when I'm doing teachings, I don't keep you long because I know everybody has things to do. Number 1, I want you to write down, what am I afraid of? Because I want you to be honest with yourself. You don't have to answer it right now. Just write these questions down. Number 1, what am I really afraid of? What am I afraid of? Number 1. Number 2, what has fear cost me? What has fear cost you? That's number 2. What has fear cost you? Y'all got it? Number 1 was, what am I afraid of? Number 2 was, what has fear cost me? Number 3, what would I do if fear wasn't making the decision? What would I do if fear wasn't making the decision? Number 4, what is one step I can do? What is one step I can take this week? So I'm going to go over all 4 of them again, y'all, because I know I get excited and talk fast, okay? Number 1, what am I afraid of? Number 2, what has this fear cost me? What does this fear cost me? Number 3, what would I do if fear wasn't making the decision? Number 3 was, what would I do if fear wasn't making the decision? And number 4, what is one step? I ain't asking y'all for 10. One step that I can take this week. What's one step I can take this week? So I want you to just give yourself permission to answer these questions truthfully. All right? Not, oh, I'm going to answer this because this is the... Be honest with yourself. All right, I don't need you to give me the spiritual version. Give me the true version, the truth of what's here. All right, and in closing, 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So fear may be present. We're not going to lie. It might be present, but fear can't take the lead. It can't be in charge. All right, fear may be present, but it can't take the lead. It can't be in charge. We have to allow our faith to move us past our fear. So last week I told you that you don't need permission to walk in your purpose. Tonight I'm telling you something else. Don't let fear become the permission you give yourself to stay stuck. This week, again, my challenge for you this week is to do one thing that fear has been telling you not to do. One thing that fear has been telling you not to do. I want you to do that one thing this week. Not 10, not 12, but 1. All right? All right. So, any questions that anybody, y'all had 4 questions that you got homework to do. Anybody missed one so I can give it back to you, so I can repeat it for you. Anybody need one repeated? Type it in the chat and I can repeat it for you. Did y'all get your 4 questions? Because it's your homework for yourself. Last week was who gave you permission? This week is why are you afraid? Okay? All right, guys. So, guys and gals. So, we are done. This week we were talking about last week we talked about who gave you permission. This week we're talking about fear. But guess what? No longer are we going to be stuck or stagnant. We're moving forward. Why? Because we're understanding that God has given us permission, and fear will not stagnate us any longer, right? So I'll see y'all same time, same place, right here on Friday Inspire. I am Aleigha, the Purpose Midwife. See you soon. Thank you.